portal class ever. Plus, LSU Baseball 2026 opening day is now only 3 weeks away. Welcome into another edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. As always, I'm your host, Justin Babin Jr. It is Monday, January 26th, 2026. I hope you and yours had a phenomenal weekend, had a great weekend, got to enjoy a little bit of playoff football, got to enjoy a little bit of LSU basketball action, even though the Tigers did lose that game on the road at Arkansas Saturday afternoon. We'll get into that a little bit later. But we got to start the show. We got to start episode 11 of the Babin on the Bayou show on this Monday, talking about possibly the best portal class in the history of college football, being capped off on Friday evening when Colorado offensive lineman Jordan Seaton, the number one offensive lineman in this year's portal class, committed to the LSU Tigers. What a steal. I mean, LSU is battling with two of the top programs in the country in Oregon and Miami with plenty of NIL capital in their own right. But LSU, they were able to win it. They were able to go up toe-to-toe with Lane Kiffin. They were able to go up toe-to-toe against two of the top programs, most prestigious programs in the country. And LSU won the battle for the number one offensive lineman in this year's transfer portal. Look, it's amazing what Lane Kiffin and his staff have been able to do in the past 2 weeks. We've talked about it before. Lane Kiffin earned the Portal King moniker at Ole Miss, but he doubled down on it this year in his first year at LSU. I mean, what he's been able to do, we'll recap some of it. But when you talk about Jordan Seaton in particular, why it's such a big deal is now, we talked last week in our offensive line preview of how I think you had one spot filled with Braylon Moore at center. Now you have two. Jordan Seaton's going to be your starting left tackle on September 5th against Clemson. One of the best offensive linemen in the country. Going to be a first-round draft pick in the 2027 NFL Draft. One of the best tackles in the country, period. And again, the number one offensive lineman in this year's portal. Seaton is He's 6'5", 330 pounds. Like I said, might be the top offensive lineman selected in the 2027 NFL Draft, but he's definitely going to be a first-round pick. He was a 5-star plus prospect when he came out of IMG Academy in high school, and he started at left tackle. I believe he's played 2 seasons at Colorado so far, so I think he's played 2 seasons at Colorado so far. He started at left tackle in both seasons for the Colorado Buffaloes and Deion Sanders. Seaton was an all Big 12 second team selection in 2025 in 9 games this past year. Seaton only allowed 1 sack and 5 quarterback pressures with 0 quarterback hits. He graded out as the 11th best pass blocker in the Big 12, the 2nd best offensive tackle, and the 10th best offensive tackle in Power 4. When you look at Jordan Seaton's numbers, he's a phenomenal pass blocker. He's a really, really good pass blocker, and he's going to do a great job protecting Sam Leavitt's blind side. A bona fide stud, a bona fide star, a bona fide first-round draft pick, and LSU got him to really beef up and improve this offensive line. We talked about the veteran experience you brought in with guys like Devin Harper and Sean Tompkins and Alu Ba. But this guy, Jordan Seaton, is on a different level. He is going to play in the NFL, and you're going to have him for a season, and he's going to be able to be the biggest contributor in protecting Sam Leavitt in the pocket. And it totally changes the outlook for your offensive line because you have now 2 spots filled. You have your center, Braylon Moore, your left tackle, Jordan Seaton. I think Alu Ba, because he played guard plenty. I think he started 23 straight games at guard for Maryland when he was at Maryland. So I think Alu Ba has a good chance with his veteran experience to possibly nab one of those guard spots. Weston Davis was your right tackle in 10 games last season. So you could see Weston Davis slide into right tackle. And then you got guys like Darren Stray, Devin Harper, Sean Tompkins. Those guys can compete as well. Will Satterwhite. But I think, bottom line, you have 2 spots filled in Seaton and Braylon Moore at center and left tackle. And then I think Ba has a good chance to nab one of the guard spots. And then we'll see about, there's going to be a lot of competition here, right? That's what we talked about last week. But getting Jordan Seaton is huge. I can't describe how big it is. We saw how bad it was last year, for your offense as a whole when you had a bad offensive line unit. And now you just got one of the best offensive linemen in the country. Gonna be a first round pick next year. Huge get for Lane Kiffin and company. And when you look at the portal as a whole as it closes, man, LSU finished signing over 40 prospects. They signed the number one QB in the portal, the number one edge rusher in the portal, and the number one offensive lineman in the portal. Those three added up to be 3 of the top 5 overall portal prospects in this year's portal cycle. You also now have 4 of the top 50 portal wide receivers. I said it on a social media post this past weekend. Perhaps the best college football portal haul we've ever seen. I mean, seriously, with the guys you were able to get, you were able to fill every need you had. 3 of the most important positions in football and quarterback. Who's gonna sack the quarterback at edge rusher? Who's gonna protect the quarterback at offensive tackle? You grab the number one guys at all 3 of those positions. I mean, you add that to just think about what Lane Kiffin's done since he's got here, retaining Blake Baker, keeping Corey Raymond, bringing over pretty much all of his Ole Miss offensive staff that he had at Ole Miss that has done an incredible job in the past few years with the Rebels. Then you look at the high school signing class where you bring in the number one player in the nation, the number one defensive tackle in the nation, the number one defensive tackle in Georgia, the number one edge rusher in Florida, the number one offensive tackle in Louisiana. You got the number one cornerback in the country for the 2027 class. I mean, look, when you look at it, and we talked about it last week, this is going to be, LSU will have a top 10, potentially top 5 roster going into 2026. Yes, playoff is realistic. I mean, it's realistic with the roster you got. You added Jordan Seaton. You got Prince William Monmielen who was an amazing pass rusher at Ole Miss. You got Sam Levitt. Think about the guys you retained. You brought Harlan Berry back. You brought Caden Durham back. You brought Sharades Green back. You got DJ Pickett, PJ Woodland, Deshaun Spears, DeMarcus Cooley. All those guys returning. Whit Weeks returning. I mean, look, folks, this roster on paper is a top 10, potentially top 5 roster in the nation going into 2026. That's just what it is. And I'm so pumped. And I know that it's crazy to think about it like this. But yes, I do believe playoff expectations are real for this team. I do. I know it's Kiffin's first year, but we saw it with Cignetti, and the roster you're bringing in, man, and the staff you're bringing in, the staff you kept on the defensive side of the ball, it is elite. It is going to be an elite roster and an elite staff in Lane Kiffin's first year. And look, yeah, they can make the playoffs with this roster. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. And again, amazing 2 months since Lane Kiffin's been here. What he was able to do in the high school signing class, especially from a defensive line perspective, one of the best defensive line classes that LSU has ever brought in, and then maybe the best portal class we've ever seen in the history of college football. I mean, it's that good. It's that legit. And I could not be happier with the guys you brought in. And I'm super excited for September. It's a long ways away, but I'm super excited for September because you got plenty of talent on this roster. Every day, Babin on the Bayou is brought to you by our wonderful sponsors over at Shield Heating and Cooling. And I've talked about it before, but when you're talking about the wonderful team at Shield Heating and Cooling, it's a team of experts with multiple decades of experience as experts in the AC industry. I love my audience. I love my viewers. I love you guys for tuning in. I want to really reward you for that and give something away to you to show my gratitude. So if you call the wonderful team at Shield Heating and Cooling today at the number 225-46-BAYOU. 225-46-BAYOU. BAYOU. You call the team at Shield Heating and Cooling today at that number. Tell them you heard about them from the Babin on the Bayou show, and I'm giving away free AC system clean and checks for every AC system in your home. Whether you have one AC system in your home or 4 or 5 AC systems in your home, it doesn't matter. Either way, if you call the team over at Shield Heating and Cooling today, the trustworthy, reliable team, the best in the business, at 225-46-BAYOU today. That's BAYOU. You call them today. Tell them you heard about them. I'm giving away free AC cleaning checks for every AC system in your home. I hope you take a part in this giveaway as an extension of trying to show my gratitude to you guys again. I love you guys for tuning into the show. I appreciate it more than you know, and I hope you take a part in this giveaway. It would mean a lot to me, and I hope it rewards you in some aspect and saves you money completely free to you. That's Shield Heating and Cooling, your local comfort defenders, and we sure love and appreciate them for being the title sponsors of the Babin on the Bayou show. All right, now what you've all been waiting for, what I've been waiting for, let's get into a little bit of LSU baseball for 2026 as the season is 3 weeks away. LSU baseball had their 2026 media day on Friday afternoon, I believe, where several players on the team spoke. But here I'm gonna go through some takeaways I have from what Jay Johnson said. Jay Johnson spoke to the media for about 50 minutes, and I thought about ways I could split this up, because the bottom line is we have 5 shows a week and we have 3 full weeks until baseball season starts. So I don't want to talk about too much right now, because I want to try to talk about a little bit of LSU baseball every day. So I'm dividing it up. I have multiple takeaways, many takeaways. I'm going to give you one takeaway that I had from Jay Johnson's media availability on Media Day for LSU Baseball on Friday. I'll give you some more takeaways throughout the week. We'll have one segment per day talking about a different aspect of this LSU roster going into 2026. But the takeaway I had the most, and this is the first one that we'll talk about today, the thing I'm most excited for about this roster in 2025 is about the return of the outfield trio in Derek Curiel, Chris Stanfield, and Jake Brown. All of those guys are going to return and start for you in 2026. Curiel is going to transition to center field. Chris Stanfield will play in left, and Jake Brown will play in right. I believe this can be the best outfield in America in 2026 with the guys you are returning. I mean, you start with Derek Curiel, who was the National Freshman of the Year in 2025, according to D1Baseball.com, consistently batted leadoff at the top of the order and started every game as a true freshman for a national championship team. Showed plenty of trust, all of the trust in the world that Jay Johnson had in Derek Curiel, with him batting leadoff for a championship team, and Curiel did not disappoint. I mean, it was one of the most impressive freshman campaigns I've ever seen. I mean, the guy led the team in batting average, and he never really had a slump for this team. Derek Curiel is an absolute stud. He's going to play in the MLB one day. I think he absolutely has the potential to play in the MLB. And I thought he had one of the most impressive freshman seasons we've seen in a long time at LSU. You move over to left, where you got Chris Stanfield. I thought Stanfield definitely contributed for you as well. In 2025, he batted .298 with 15 doubles for the Tigers on the season. Stanfield was actually LSU's leading hitter in SEC regular season games, where he batted .326 with 14 doubles, 1 triple, 9 RBIs, and 25 runs. So Chris Stanfield's another guy who I think, transferring over from Auburn to his first season with LSU in 2025, his bat really improved. I hope that in his senior season, his bat gets even better, on top of the amazing contribution that he gave for you in 2025 as your top hitter in SEC regular season play. And then Jake Brown. Jake Brown's always been one of my favorite guys to watch on this team. I love Jake Brown. Brown hit 320 last year in 2025 for the Tigers. 9 doubles, 2 triples, 8 home runs, and 48 RBIs. Brown batted a team-high 385 batting average in the College World Series in Omaha with 4 RBIs and 2 runs scored. So look, that trio, those are your 3 leaders, I believe, going into. You could talk about Stephen Milam as well. Stephen Milam returning at shortstop. We'll talk about that another day. But the bottom line is the thing that excites me most, the number one thing, is the outfield, because I believe it can be and should be the best outfield in America with a ton of production that you're returning from all of these guys in Curiel, Stanfield, and Brown. And it's going to be interesting because Stanfield played in center field last year. Derek Curiel played in left. They're going to swap. Let Derek Curiel play in center, and Stanfield's going to move to the left. That's going to be interesting to watch. Curiel, as far as Jay Johnson talked about, the focus for him in the offseason was getting bigger, faster, stronger, put on some weight, got in the weight room. Excited to see how that transitions and helps Derek Curiel. But the number one thing I'm most excited for going in, among many other things, I'm excited about LSU baseball in general and many things with LSU baseball. The number one thing is I believe you're going to have the best outfield in America in 2026. But that is my LSU baseball rundown for today. Again, throughout the week, I'll have one segment each day where I go through maybe some more stuff that Jay Johnson has said, maybe another position that he talked about. We're going to try to space this out evenly, folks, because we have 3 weeks until opening day. So I was really thinking about how I wanted to space these things out with 5 shows a week and 3 weeks leading up to opening day. So that's how we're going to do it. But cannot wait to see this outfield and all of these guys return in 2026 for LSU baseball. All right. Over the weekend, LSU men's basketball fell to 1-6 in SEC conference play, unfortunately, after losing a really hard-fought, tough game on the road at Arkansas Saturday afternoon. The final score was 85-81, and I mean, LSU men's basketball only lost by 4 points to a top 20 team in the country, and John Calipari's Arkansas Razorbacks. Look, I thought the Tigers, for the level of competition they played, another top 20 team, another ranked team, I thought they actually played well against the top 20 opponent. I mean, LSU led in 26 minutes of game time. So for 26 of the 40 minutes of game time in this game, the Tigers had the lead. And I mean, they took a lead in the halftime. LSU was up 37-33 going into the second half. I thought in DJ Thomas's second SEC game and his first SEC start on the season. Obviously, he missed the first 5 SEC games with that injury. And he kind of struggled on Tuesday night, I believe, against Florida. I believe he missed, I think he went either 0 for 8 or 1 for 8 from the field on Tuesday night against Florida. Really struggled offensively. But I thought in this game, DJ Thomas played well. He finished with 18 points and 5 assists. Again, that's another aspect of this. DJ Thomas is your best player. He's a guard who led the SEC in the non-conference in assists per game. He directs your offense. He makes your offense better. And not having him for the first 5 games of SEC play certainly hurt you. But he finished with a nice 18 points and 5 assists on the night. As a matter of fact, all 5 LSU starters finished scoring in the double digits. LSU actually won the rebound battle 36-28, which was big after they lost the rebound battle, just got mauled on the boards against Florida 50-30. So winning the rebound battle 36-28 was certainly impressive for the Tigers. LSU scored over 40 points in the paint, and then they had a 20-8 advantage in terms of second chance points. So I thought they came out with a ton of energy in the first half, and they played a really, really good first half in terms of paint points, in terms of getting after it on the boards. They looked really improved. When you look at why Arkansas won this game, Arkansas knocked down, they made 10 3-pointers to only LSU making 3 makes from deep. So 10-3 in terms of Arkansas's advantage, and 3-point shots made certainly hurt you. That really allowed the Razorbacks to retake the lead in the second half and begin to pull away. They were led by a magnificent 31-point performance by their star freshman Darius Acuff Jr. Darius Acuff is an absolute stud, and he showed it on Saturday afternoon with another 31-point performance, including Darius Acuff had 24 points in the second half alone. Look, LSU ends up losing this game, and here's my thoughts. I think LSU has a solid offense, has plenty of potential on the offensive side of the basketball. I think they're solid there. They're not perfect, but I think they're solid. But I think what really contributes to these losses is that the defense has just been bad. It's been bad. It has not been good. They are not a good defensive team at all. LSU has given up 50 points in a single half to their opponent in 6 of their last 12 games, with Arkansas scoring 52 points in the second half alone on Saturday. I mean, look, you scored 81 points against Arkansas. I mean, that's a pretty good offensive output, but you just have not been good at all defensively. I mean, giving up 50 points in 6 out of your last 12 games, that's only 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, you're giving up 50 points in pretty much one game every single week. That's not good defense. They don't play good defense. It'll be occasionally they'll have a half where they play good defense, but they definitely can't stretch it out to a full game. It's a struggle for the Tigers defensively right now, and that is what most contributes to their downfall. Now, LSU does play back-to-back 2-5 teams in SEC play in Mississippi State and South Carolina this week. I believe that Mississippi State game is their next game Wednesday night in the PMAC. Both Mississippi State and South Carolina are 2-5 in SEC play. So if LSU wants to have any shot of salvaging this season, they have to win these next 2 games. They have to go 2-0 against South Carolina and Mississippi State. Again, that Mississippi State game is the Tigers' next game on Wednesday night in the PMAC. And really, you have to win both of these games if you want to have any chance to salvage this season. Don't forget tonight that Kim Mulkey and the Red Hot women's basketball team is back in action tonight, Monday night, inside the PMAC against the Florida Gators. That game tips off at 6 p.m. on the SEC Network. And then before we get out of here, I'll give some of my takeaways from a really good and competitive Sunday NFL Conference Championship games. My first takeaway from the New England game: New England beat Denver 10-7 in Mile High Stadium in Denver in an ugly offensive game. It was not a good offensive game. We kind of figured that coming in with Bo Nix not playing anymore for the Broncos after suffering a fractured, I believe he fractured a bone in his ankle and he was unable to play, so Jarrett Stidham got to start. I actually thought early that Jarrett Stidham was playing fine. I thought what kind of hurt the Broncos actually was in the second quarter of the game. The Broncos defense was dominating the Patriots, right? It was 7-0, and it was 4th down, but the Broncos were definitely in field goal range, and Sean Payton chose to go for it, and ultimately the Broncos didn't get the first down on 4th down, and I felt like that kind of shifted the momentum of the game. You got the chance to go up 10-0 against a New England offense that is really struggling against your defense. I take the 3, I go up 10, and I think it helps you. And I mean, the Broncos lost 10-7. Imagine if Sean Payton just kicks that field goal. It's 10-10, and maybe they send it to overtime, because in the second half, snow just started pouring all over that field, and it was a hard to play offense in the second half of that football game because of the snow. I mean, it was sunny in the first half of this game, and then by the fourth quarter, so really between the third quarter and the fourth quarter, the field just absolutely was pelted with snow to where it was hard to see the hash marks at all in the fourth quarter of this game. I do have maybe an unpopular take. I like that weather for January playoff football. Look, I know offensively it's not advantageous. Obviously, the game was a 10-7 game, but it's playoff football. It's January, and to me, I kind of like it. I kind of like those games every now and then. Those cold, bitterly cold games with the snow where it's hard for either team to play, and sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's interesting. So I saw some tweets, people saying, "Oh, it sucks that it's snowing right now on the third to last football game that we'll see until September." But to me, I kind of like it. I kind of think that the snow, it's January playoff football, kind of grind it out and kind of really, I mean, it's on the offenses to figure out how to win in those weather situations. So I don't really mind it, even though it was indeed an ugly offensive game. But then, what a game Sunday night, excuse me. It was a heck of a game Sunday night between the Rams and the Seahawks. Went down to the wire. The Seahawks win 31-27 in Seattle. Really, I mean, what a story for Sam Darnold. You're talking about a guy who was drafted by the Jets in 2018, excuse me. That didn't work out. He hopped around. He played for the Panthers. He played for the 49ers. He played for the Vikings last season. Now he went 13-4, got Seattle the 1 seed, and now he's going to the Super Bowl. So I think it was a crazy good game last night. Jackson Smith-Njigba is a stud. The top wide receiver for Seattle. He's a beast for sure. And that Seattle defense is very, very good as well. So, New England versus Seattle in the Super Bowl in San Francisco, I believe, in 2 weeks. Super Bowl 60 years of the Super Bowl. New England, Seattle, one of my favorite Super Bowls of all time. If you remember, a decade ago, I believe it was the Super Bowl played in 2014 or 2015, I believe, where Seattle had the chance to win it late in the game, and they had Marshawn Lynch on the 5-yard line, and they chose not to run it with Marshawn Lynch. They throw it, and Malcolm Butler picks it off in the end zone and seals the game for the Patriots, and Tom Brady gets another Lombardi trophy. So look, the question I have is, will they hand it off to Kenneth Walker in a goal line situation? And that's the question Seattle fans should have. Run the football. Kenneth Walker also has had a really good playoffs as well. My early thoughts, my early prediction, I really like Seattle in this game. New England's great too. Both of these teams are great. I'm actually excited for this year's Super Bowl because it doesn't include the Chiefs, the Eagles, or the 49ers. So I was going to be excited with whatever matchup it was, but I like this one. But my early thoughts is I favor Seattle to win the Lombardi trophy in 2 weeks. And what a story it would be, redemption story it would be for Sam Darnold if he leads Seattle to the Lombardi trophy in 2 weeks. That game is February 8th at 5:30 on NBC and Peacock. Super Bowl 60 between the Seahawks and the Patriots. But that's all I have for this Monday, January 26, 2026 edition of the Babin on the Bayou show. Again, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you folks for tuning into the show. It does mean a whole heck of a lot to me. Remember to like the video, share the video with a friend, tell a friend or whoever, if they love sports, if they love LSU, to tell them about the show. And hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you are a constant viewer of the show, but you are not subscribed, I would appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button. But I do appreciate you guys. I thank you so much for tuning into the show. I hope you're having an amazing Monday. I hope you have a great Monday evening as well. Tomorrow we'll talk a little bit more about LSU baseball. We'll recap LSU women's basketball as they play against Florida tonight at 6 p.m. in the PMAC on the SEC Network. But thank you folks so much for tuning in. God bless, go Tigers, and have a good one.